The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. We're just going to give it one more minute so that everyone can settle in, and we'll get started. Thank you very much for joining. I think we're good to go. So welcome everyone to our webinar series. Thank you very much for joining again. Today's webinar is on how to grow your practice through scalable advisory solutions. And just before we start, a couple of housekeeping notes. This presentation is going to be recorded. If you have any questions, please just pop them into the Q&A, into the chat section, and we will address them at the end of the session. At the end, also, if you want to keep your questions at the end, please feel free to do so. We will have a Q&A part at the end of the webinar. So I will go over a quick introduction on the agenda today is that I will go over a quick introduction of what we're working on in the Accountants business unit in Canada, and then I will pass it over to Chris that will talk about how to enable practice growth through the advisor services with Futrli, and we will finish the session with a product demo. We're a quick introduction to today's speaker. So I am Emilio Marcelin. I am the product marketing manager for the Accountants business unit, and I am joined by Chris Jovic, which is the Futrli expert and sales team lead for Futrli.
Good morning.
So diving straight into it, what I wanted to kickstart today with was with the exploration and research that we did in the last year or so, and provide some information on what we are hearing from our partners. This is not the absolute aggregate, but it's kind of the common theme that we keep hearing, and it is around keeping up with technology, managing workflow, and work-life balance. So actually in my 5 years of experience at Sage, these 3 things for our partners and firms that we work with have been have always resonated with them. So with that consistency in mind, we wanted from the Accountants business unit to get deeper into understanding of what firms want, and more importantly, what do firms want from us, from Sage? How can we help them grow? How can we help them with their services and with their customers? And what we got was that we needed to deliver a better overall experience from the explanation of how we, as Sage, we can offer value to them. And we needed to really up our game in delivering the right message for partners to understand what Sage brings to the table and how we can help them grow. So these 3 things were really the anchor point to building the experience that we wanted for accountants. And we basically build our new partner program around these three pillars on how can we have a better messaging on understanding what Sage brings to the table, the better overall experience for accounting firms in Canada, and help connect the dots to bring that value that we have to offer for our partners. So after going through it, and thinking about it a lot, we quickly realized that that firms have similar workflows. So we went back to basics and started figuring out like how do firms work, right? What are they day-to-day tasks and what are their goals? And we realized that all the firms have similar workflow, and this can be represented by a cycle that goes all the way from proposal to advisory, going through data ingestion, accounting and payroll, tax. And this is cyclic. Either you go through it monthly, quarterly, or yearly for different firms or different clients, but it's a cycle that it repeats itself. So as a tech partner, Sage needed to make this cycle as efficient as possible while providing a unified experience with the expert support in order for firms to be able to understand the technologies involved in each part of this workflow and making sure that we were adding value to our partners firm. And what we came up to solve this is Sage for Accountants, our new partner program. And this program is built around the way firms work through this workflow. So we understand that even if this workflow is similar for all the partners and firms out there, every firm has its own needs, its own priorities, and its own goals. So for example, a firm A can have its data ingestion process streamlined, but they are having challenges with the advisory automation side, or a firm B might be struggling with streamlining its proposal side of things. But they are having challenges. They are having challenges with streamlining their advisory side of things. So even if these two practices have a similar workflow, they have very different needs and challenges that they need to overcome. With Sage for Accountants, the core of Sage for Accountants is that we put the individual practice needs at the center, and we give accountants and bookkeepers control over what tools to use and what tools to plug in across their practice according to this workflow, from proposal to advisory services. And it doesn't matter what other tools they are already using. This might be QBO, it might be Xero. With Sage for Accountants, we provide the tools that work with their current tech stack. So on the accounting and payroll and on the GL side, you might be covered. You might be very at ease with and happy with the solution that you're currently working. But we want to work in other areas with you and collaborate with you in the areas that we can. So without further ado, let's go over the tools that are part of Sage for Accountants briefly, and where they plug into this workflow and what they solve for. So on the proposal and on the job scope, we have Go Proposal, which is a solution for firms to win and onboard new clients faster and more efficiently by automating pricing, the proposal side of things, and also the onboarding. And it also includes engagement letters. So all the proposal all the way to engagement and onboarding is covered with Go Proposal. On the automation side and data ingestion side, more specifically, we have a data capture solution, which is auto entry that allows you to easily manage data that you get from your clients. Either if you're collaborating, you're doing it in-house, it really has the flexibility to for different scenarios. On the accounting side, we know this is kind of the biggest side, right? That the main part of the day is spent there, and the main part of the services offered are there. So we have an array of solutions that go from Sage 50, which is our desktop solution, all the way to accounting and payroll for people looking to move to the cloud. And we also have Intact, which is for practices that have mid-size clients that are outgrowing their current solution, or they want to go more into the outsourcing, finance outsourcing side of things. We also have, so on the working papers and tax, this is something that Sage doesn't have an in-house solution for, but we know it's a core part of what partners and practices are doing out there. So we are always making sure that we have the right partners and looking for partners in order to fill this gap that we have. We currently have an integration with Accountable that we worked on, that we launched a couple of months back, and we're working with Caseware to have a long time partnership with them in order to have the ability to kind of fill this gap on working papers and tax with Sage. And at last but not least, what we're all here for, it's Futrli on the advisory side. So I won't talk about Futrli because we have Chris here, and I will let do the talking on that end. In the interest of time, so I will go over this a little bit faster. Sage for Accountants, as I mentioned, is a partner program. So it's not only a list of tools for your practice that we can basically see where we can help with, but it's an array of things. So as part of Sage for Accountants, we offer dedicated human account management support as well. No matter how big or small is your firm, we have that dedicated account manager for you, and we are very focused on the technology adoption. So we know that one of the biggest challenges that are out there in the finance industry as a whole is not only what technologies are out there, what technologies do I need to implement within my firm, but the heavy lifting is on the implementation side and actually make it work for your current processes. So we are very focused on that human part of helping on the adoption. And yeah, without further ado, I'll pass it over to Chris to go over the Futrli.
Yeah, thank you, Milo. Yeah, so as Milo mentioned, I'm Chris. I lead the Futrli team for sales over here in the UK and across a number of places in the world. So really what I'm going to do today is give you a brief introduction to Futrli, how we work, and effectively what we can provide to you that you can really add to your clients and provide more value whilst being more efficient and also making more profit for yourself. So all round, I think it ties nicely into what Milo's just mentioned there with that circle of a real great tech stack, which will provide you with those solutions to provide those three core sort of pillars that we just talked about. If you want to move on to the next, the screen there, Milo, you can go across. And we can talk about how Futrli came around in the beginning. So founded back in 2014. We do have a global reach we have. We also have a 24/7 support network as well. So we have an office here in the UK. We also have an office in Australia. So anytime, anywhere in the world, you are able to get full support. We did launch in Canada as part of Sage for Accountants in 2023, which is really exciting from our point of view. A huge market over there, which has got huge potential for this type of service. We actually entered into Xero marketplace. We're very familiar with Xero and with QBO, Sage as well now, of course, but we entered that with one of our previous tools. Some of you may have heard of it as Futrli Advisor. But as time has gone by, technology has evolved. We've had to become more efficient and make advisory more scalable. So we've had to launch our newer platform, which is exactly what I'm going to show you in a second. Next screen, please, Amelia. So I guess a question would be, why would you do this? Well, there's a number of reasons to do so, and why we would do it as well. So we recognise that there is a basic need there for helping both the SME and accountant to understand their financials better, and also plan their future better with forecasting. We really wanted to innovate that advisory space. So previously, you would have done any forecasting via Excel, for example, but why is there not a quicker, more efficient and profitable approach to it? Advisory provides with SMEs with that clear direction of their business. SMEs, if they want to grow and they want to expand alongside their accountant, they need to have some sort of forecasting tool there. So they can really start to measure how they're performing on a day-to-day basis, for example, weekly or monthly basis. As a result, the practice will have higher revenue streams, as I mentioned there. Also increase loyalty and staff retention as well. And we all know that compliance is one of those areas which is being squeezed more and more. So this really does provide you with that valuable opportunity to grow the practice and engage with those clients, which more than likely you already be doing on a more involved basis, but also more structured. I think is probably the best word to put there. So the opportunity, I guess, is really quite simple on this one. The current climate is quite tough. So there is the opportunity now to focus on those value-added services. As I mentioned, there is a tough climate. Helping clients navigate through that particular time is going to be key for a lot of accountants. We saw it during the COVID period as well. Accountants were a key to the businesses at that particular point. A part of the tech as well is it really does justify the need to digitalize for those yet to do so. So those on desktop solutions, having the data to hand, as you would expect for your bank account now, for example, when you log in on an app, the need for it is there. So why wait? So are we just cash flow? No, we do other stuff as well. So yes, we do short-term cash flow forecasted. So we are the only one globally in this ecospace that combines the invoices and bills with that longer-term P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow. So you get the full picture of the business. We do really complex forecasting as well. So anything you can do in Excel, you can essentially do in the platform itself without all the dangers of deleting cells in Excel. Templates. We have some templates there which will do heavy lifting for you in the background. So forecast with ease. And lastly, reporting. So if you want to do management reports, you really want to elevate those reports compared to what you would find either whether you do it on Excel or whether you do it in your source data point, we can really help you. So as it says at the bottom there, in short, we provide that advisory platform. And I'll show you exactly what I mean when we go through that for advisory firms, for accounting firms. So let's have a look at the platform and I'll show you some of the key benefits of it and how it will engage you with your clients along that journey. So hopefully you can see the screen, guys. And essentially this is what the Futrli platform looks like. And the idea of this platform is that it gives you greater visibility over your future to make those better informed business decisions. And historically, all forecasting tools will look at historical figures and produce a forecast. This actually predicts it on a daily basis. So you've got that real granular level of detail here that you may need to go into. Now you can see at the top here, we've got three different tabs. We've got performance, we've got forecasting, we've got reporting, all valuable parts of the actual platform. The performance tab here essentially gives you an overview. So exactly what you see on the screen there, a live snapshot of the business. You can compare different periods of time. But what it does is it provides you with conversation starters with your clients here. If your invoice is due, it's significantly higher than your bills that are due in. If you've got overdue invoices and overdue bills, what is the reason behind that? How can you as an accounting practice help your client manage through that process? Any GST figures that you're producing, it will accurately predict those for you. And then you can start to see what the rolling 12-month operation looks like with live data. You can then deep dive down into cash flow performance in a bit more detail here. And again, this is really looking at that day-to-day, what's coming in. We have our headline figure up here. Automatically produces a 36-month rolling forecast for you. But down below, we can see future cash balances. We can see high points, low points. How can you mitigate those low points? Cash coming in from the business. What's late? What's due to come in? What's the average age of those invoices? So if you reduce the average age days of those invoices, what will be the effect on the cash flow, for example? Top invoices that are due, when they were due, when they're actually going to start hitting the accounts. And then you can start to see, for example, which accounts are bringing in the most cash and customers who are paying you the most in here. Are you too dependent upon one particular customer or supplier? And exactly the same with money going out of the business as well. Okay. So all that is visibly there. Profit and loss performance is where you can start to see trend analysis here. So you'll be able to see top performance across your chart of accounts, but also where you are month on month, year on year. All really easy to understand and really clear. This is built completely with the end user in mind as well as the accountant, so they can really log into this alongside their accountant and actually check all this data and be visibly engaged in it as well. Balance sheet performance is exactly the same here. Ratios. Again, how many business owners know their ratios? So small business owners know their ratios. I would argue not many. judging by the amount of people that I speak to. But this gives you a real simplistic understanding of what it is and how you can improve it. You've also got some key areas here. So top debt balances, again, in the current climate, an area of focus for a lot of businesses. This is your starting points to those advisory conversations. Month on month, down below, year on year again, exactly what you see on the screen there. Now, in terms of the customer supplies tab, again, this is designed for you to help your clients. So we've got some metrics which we measure these customers and suppliers by, and this is all provided by the source data, whether it be Xero, whether it be QuickBooks Online, or it be Sage Business Cloud. But you can really start to see what is the deep dive down into these customers and suppliers. So if you click on it, and what it does is it brings up the little box to the side. So we can start to see how much is owed, how many invoices, how much is actually late. Are the payment trends starting to change? Is there any risks associated with these particular clients, for example? What's the dependency level on these particular customers or suppliers as well? What would be the effect if they went else to another, if one customer went to another business? What effect would that have on the cash flow for the business, etc.? So again, all conversation starters here and really valuable data and insights into the client. Forecasting, probably what the main part of Futrli. So there's a couple of different options on here, which we've got auto predicted here, our daily tracker forecast. We call this essentially what we would say is a sat nav for the business here. So it navigates the future forecast based on historical performance and where we've gone. So it'll identify those roadblocks along the way. We can also budget in here, really nice and easy here. As part of that advisory process, you can budget from scratch. You can use last year's actuals, or you can use an existing scenario. And the existing scenario could be a daily tracker forecast or a scenario here. You then have scenarios, so you can really start to flex up your forecast here. So new hires, for example, you may want to take on at certain points in the year. You can then start to performance compare them. So you can have as many different data sets on here as you want and compare them as you move along. Either sales, the cost of sales, the different periods that you want to see here. And again, it's all live data and really engaging from your client's point of view. But let's have a look at the daily tracker forecast, which is where we really do become more efficient for you. So based on all the information at the source point, we will automate that forecast for you. Now, it'll always bring up the short term, first of all, where we have that cash in and cash out. And all the invoices and bills sitting on the source data point will be in here. You can either exclude them completely to see what effect that has on the cash, or you can use the calendar button here just to move them to the relevant dates, split the payments, delete them out. It's a one-way flow only, so no danger of deleting anything at the source data point, or you can simply bulk update them. You can then really look at that longer term picture. So that's really the short term. The longer term picture becomes here, in here. So we pull for that full chart of accounts for you. Each line with data in will have a predicted line. Now click on that predicted line and it brings up the box to the side. Now, the idea of this is that it provides all the assumptions that you would probably ask anyway. So we look at lots of different data sets in here. We go back as far as we need to, but it gives you an idea of how we've come to those figures, so how far back we've gone, whether we've seen increases or decreases. It won't repeat spikes unless it sees a trend over a sustained period of time, but it looks at whether it's cash, whether it's invoice, whether it's journal movement, etc. All the types of data analysis that you would do with your client anyway. We do it in a matter of minutes. So we really do take away that time limit for you to provide that base forecast. Now, of course, it may well be that you want to add lines in. That's not a problem at all, or you can turn those forecasted lines off. Simply do it there and add your own prediction in. You can do a manual prediction, or you can use an import template. So the import template is just a selection of Google Sheets that we have provided for you, essentially which provides with the heavy lifting in the background, so loan wizards, etc. on there. And the manual prediction is really where you can do freestyle predictions, you can do repeating patterns on here, you could do unit-based calculations or formula on here as well. So that's where you would do that. And then you can change all those payment treatments on those as well. Just conscious of time here, so I'm going to whiz over that bit there. But that's where the main element of forecasting will come in. So you can really talk about what the projection looks like with your clients at a particular point in time, and then start to measure them either via budget and via the scenarios. Now, as part of that advisory process, you may want to report on it as well. Or you may just want to elevate your reports that you currently do. So what we'll start to do is view our reporting templates, where you can really start to drill down with your SMEs. What are the KPIs that they really need to look at, either on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis? Well, this is exactly where you can produce those types of reports. You can make it really relevant to them, and of Of course, you will always be able to get the P&L, the balance sheet, for example, from the source data from Sage Business Cloud, but this is where you can really start to elevate these up. Change the colors, add in various different commentary that you may want to do as well. You can add on here, you can change the different types of pictures that we've got on here, you can change the different types of colors, you've got all your different data sets on here, and again, you can start to layer these up. You can have multiple different data sets on here as well. So this one here, for example, we simply click on that, we can change it to that type of chart, that type of chart. You simply drag and drop on here. Whatever you want to do, very, very easy to do. You can make your branded colors for your practice, should you need to. It's entirely up to you how you do that. But it will provide you with the opportunity here to, as part of an advisory process, to talk about the next year, for example, decide on the budget, decide on the scenarios, and then start to report on those on whichever frequency that you wish to do so. So I appreciate that's probably quite a high level overview, but that is the Futrli platform designed to make it more efficient for you, but also provide you with those opportunities for more engaging conversations with your clients. So in terms of what we provide beyond the platform, just to touch on that quickly, we do provide you with full support alongside the platform on our partner plans, and we do find that that's really crucial in that first stage of learning how to use it, but ultimately how you can engage with your clients on a better basis.
Thank you very much for that, Chris. That was very insightful indeed, and yeah, definitely. Thank God I didn't talk about it at the beginning, because you went very in deep into the solution, and it's definitely something that I know a lot of clients and partners will be able to take advantage of. Yeah, we wanted to, so just a quick, Chris is based in the UK, so of course the data of the demo account that he has is in pounds, but once you integrate your GL, whatever it is, it will be in Canadian dollars if that's correct. The case. Yes. So everything will be in Canadian dollars and basically localized to the market that you're working in. You want to go over briefly on pricing, Chris, and then go into questions?
Yeah, absolutely. So pricing is really quite simple. We have a couple of different plan options on here. Probably best to speak to us directly on what is the best solution for you. But essentially, the more licenses that you take out or businesses connected, the cheaper per connection it becomes on that basis. We have the various different support options with those as well. So again, I think that's something would require a bit more an in-depth conversation on that. But that gives you a general idea of how we price our structure.
Perfect. And Akriti, if you can share if we can share we'll share a link to start a free trial if anyone's interested and wants to dive right into it. We'll be sharing that link in the chat with everyone. Does anyone have any questions? I know there was already one question out there, and Chris, this is for you. Does this work for non-profits? Can you change the metrics that are being looked at? Can you suggest any metrics for non-profit specific? And the last part of that question is, if it's only a tool for firms, or it's actually also for end clients that can take advantage of this.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, yes, it does work for non-profits. Charities obviously do like to forecast out depending on when their money comes in. So yes, it can be. In terms of the metrics which are being looked at in the reporting section is where you can actually get a dashboard there and be as specific as you want in terms of what you're looking for. Obviously, with various different non-profits, it can vary quite greatly. So the performance pages which I showed you first of all will always be as they are, but the reporting is where you can really start to deep dive down into whatever metrics that you would choose on that basis. Lastly on that, a non-profit can get it directly from us, yes. You can use Futrli as a business directly. You don't have to go through your accountant, or you can go through your accountant. Entirely up to you.
Perfect. Does anyone have any other questions? I think we're I think we're good on that end. Just to finish, we have a quick poll. If you could please answer this this poll, that would be great for us in terms of feedback on how we did. How do you see the new partner program Futrli and whatnot? So please do answer the poll. That would be amazing for us. And thank you very much for joining today.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a great day.
So we had a last minute question. Give me 1 second. Does it integrate with Sage 50 and Sage Accounting? So it does not integrate with Sage 50 or Sage Accounting as of today, and we have an integration with QuickBooks. And sorry, it does integrate with Sage Accounting. It does not integrate with Sage 50. So it is either QuickBooks Online, Xero, and Sage Accounting. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Once again, thank you very much for everyone that answered the poll questions and the survey. We really appreciate it, and we hope to see you in our next live webinar for our webinar series very soon. So thank you very much and have a wonderful day.